I'm in there. Okay. So, guys, welcome to My Guy Reviews review of Captain Marvel, the second Captain Marvel movie of the year. This one, the DCEU film, where a little boy says a magic word and turns into a man, just like Tom Hanks in Big.
That's
Exactly
Shazam.
the same. No.
That's not Captain Marvel. That's Shazam.
Oh, I've got the wrong movie again. Isn't it about the little girl who goes off on a plane? Anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's Captain Marvel. Okay, yeah.
She goes on a plane, flies
Yeah.
away, comes back to Earth,
Uh-huh.
and then she says a magic word, and then she turns into the whole. Everyone says a magic word, and they change. Isn't it?
Was there a magic word? Was there a magic word in Marvel? What are we talking about?
Yeah, all the kids turned in the end. So let's talk about this second film. Oh, it's so confusing. Okay, so this one, Shazam, or Captain Marvel. Captain DC.
You like to call it Captain Marvel. I like to call it Captain DC.
Captain DC.
Some less educated like to call it Shazam.
Yes. So what we'll try to do to spoil it as and when we can, because to be fair, it's a pretty straightforward film, right? There isn't any twists or anything. I guess so. Yeah, spoil it. Spoil it. Yeah, just spoil it.
Okay, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So if
spoiler alert. Flashing red.
If you haven't seen the film, go away, watch the film, come back. But yeah, we'll spoil it from start to finish.
Superman.
Like there's a kid in the film called Billy Batson. That's spoiler. There's a kid called, and he. Okay, so yes, what are you saying? It's so confusing. Okay, so we start with the story. So what was the story? You crack on. You tell us what the story was, and then I'll chime in.
Okay.
We'll do it the other way around. I'll just chime in now.
Yeah, of course. Okay, in the layman's words, because I don't follow DC or that too much, apart from just watch the movies. The plot is it's about a foster kid who's looking for his mum because she left him, or he lost him. She lost him at the beginning of the movie.
Or so we think.
Yeah, or so we think. Spoilers. And then, he keeps escaping foster homes. He's never really settled down because he's looking for his mum.
Or so we think.
Or so we think. No, he really is looking for his mum. Or so we think. And then, but then his last foster home, this kid is also a foster kid there, is really into superheroes.
Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy. Wait, what? Yeah. And then they go. So he's really into superheroes, but then our protagonist, who's been looking for his mum, becomes the chosen one. That's the story, right? That's right. The
chosen one. Yes.
Superhero magical powers. It's magic this time rather than like radiation or anything.
Yes, it is.
And his whole character then suddenly changes from caring about his mom to like kind of shit. But that's the discussion later. But then he just has, rather than looking for his mum and caring about people anymore, he starts just asking, what's his name, Freddy, for help on what to do with his superpowers, because he has no clue about superheroes because he's spent his whole life looking for his mum instead. So then he just becomes a dick, and then
like any kid with powers would be.
Yeah, as any kid would. Yeah, I mean it's more of a kid movie than I was expecting. You kind of knew that already, but it was more kid focused than I was expecting. But then he's got a villain eventually that comes up and spoils his fun a little bit. They use the power of friendship to defeat him in the end. There you go.
It's just like Care Bears.
My Little Pony.
They all touched their tummies. It all lit up at
They all
the
touch
end.
something together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like their tummies.
Yeah, no, I think you perfectly kind of summarized the film or the story. Yeah, I think you're right. The protagonist, obviously, he's a kind of fish out of water story, and his best friend is Nick Fury, who loves superheroes, and he's building up this whole team, and he wants to bring them all together, and he knows everything about them. But then what he does is they start. I like the training montage. That was quite good. Yeah, that's his friend.
You're talking about
Captain Marvel's friend. Captain Marvel's friend, remember? They come together and he tells her about other superheroes and kind of other things that happened. And the good thing about it is like that they have a really good strong bond. They're very good friends by the end of it.
True, they are good friends, yeah.
And they can call on each other for help whenever they want. Just like in Captain Marvel. The YouTube training montage was really good. I like that. That was really kind of a cool little callback to kind of like, look, here's his powers. Instead of doing it like a typical, it is a basic origin story, right? Where he gets his powers, he doesn't know what to do, meets the villain about midway through the film, runs away, comes back, and then defeats him. It's pretty much the standard. Oh yeah, runs away again. And eventually
runs to his family crying and to help him out at the end.
That's right. Yeah, and it's the friendship and the power of family that come together to defeat the 7 deadly sins, and Mark Strong, obviously. Yeah. And it just shows children can become Megan Good or that guy from the OC or that kid from 13 Reasons Why, just become older all of a sudden. They can all buy alcohol, which is the dream.
Of course. Except they spit it out straight away, so it becomes family friendly, of course.
Of course,
it's like vomit. I don't know what they say, but that's why.
I think he did say that. Yeah. It's also it's like when you go into like Freddy's room, you see all sorts of memorabilia. Like he's got a batarang. He's got a bullet which bounced off Superman.
Yeah, the real Superman, because of course this movie isn't actually set in like normal reality with someone getting superpowers suddenly. It's actually set in the DCE universe, which is so Superman is real in this universe, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really think whether that was going to happen or not. When I saw it, I was thinking, oh, is that just memorabilia? And I was, oh wow, it's an actual bullet. Oh, that's cool. So Batman and Superman actually exist in this place.
Yeah, there's a really good when he's fighting Mark Strong in that shopping center, he gets a Batman figurine and throws it at him.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was really funny.
They've got the permission to use all the DC whoever they like in this movie.
Exactly, you can chuck anything at it.
Just Batman is in every shop.
Exactly. It seems a bit weird though, but if Billy Batson lives in this world, remember, let's think back to Man of Steel, which happened whenever it did. All those buildings collapsed in Metropolis, right? That's got to be front page news, right? So how's Billy Batson not aware of this whole city collapsing around him? Then Doomsday happened in Batman v Superman, and again, they leveled the whole city with this alien. Batman was fighting Superman, Wonder Woman. And he doesn't know about powers. He doesn't know about superheroes. He speaks to Freddy about that. But he knows who Batman is because he picked up a figurine.
Yeah, and they talk, and obviously Billy, whatever his name is, the geek kid is a geek kid.
Freddy.
Like, no one respects him because he's into superheroes. But the thing is, in this world, superheroes aren't a nerd thing. They're real.
Yeah, they're real things.
Actual things. It would be like talking about the EastEnders or something. It would be like. You would know about it. It's on the TV.
Yeah,
it's not nerd culture in this world, but it is at the same time for no reason.
That completely makes no sense because these guys are public figures in this universe. They've done things. leading up to this film, which people are aware of, which has been televised, even if it's Justice League, big fights and stuff there. So it shouldn't be geek culture. I think everyone should be aware of everything, right? Because that cameo at the end kind of proves again that, everyone knows who he is, and everyone knows what's happened. Because there's that kid who was fighting Superman and Batman, when Mark Strong and he bashed them together exactly the same time as
boys.
So he was reenacting Batman v Superman. So
I mean, that was my thing. I was like, you said about should they know about all this stuff happening? Maybe it hasn't happened yet. We don't know when it's set, but the fact that maybe it has because of that Batman v Superman bit, or maybe he's just looking forward to the movie. Just,
because
what world are we in? I don't know. Is there a Batman v Superman movie in the Batman and Superman DC universe?
No,
it
actually happened.
Yeah, but they might make a reenactment movie.
No, because see, Wayne Tower got it got collapsed because of Man of Steel. So it really happened.
That might not have happened yet, though. We don't know where it's set in.
But it would have, because he's got the Batman memorabilia, right? So Batman happened, then he went into kind of hiding for ages, and then he came back out of hiding as the time of Batman v Superman. So Metropolis had to have collapsed. Him to get Batarang would have happened maybe after Batman v Superman, something just before Justice League maybe. And then Superman walked in and all the kids recognized him. So clearly Man of Steel must have happened. Man of Steel must have happened. Batman v Superman must have happened. He died. Spoiler alert. He got resurrected in Justice League. Yeah. And he's a cult hero now because he's been a menace in the first two films. But people like him in Justice League. So when he turns up at the end of this film, he's applauded by the kids, and they're like, "Oh my God, yeah!" So it has to have happened after Justice League, which means people have forgiven all of his kind of destruction and the fact that he saves nobody and he mopes around a lot. They've done like, you know what, we love you, Superman. So
well, they're kids; they love him anyway. So
of course they
do. I don't. Someone would have to go through, like, check all the evidence of what has actually happened, because obviously he can be hit by a bullet before everyone hated him. So,
but that's why the timeline would assume that this film happens at the end of after Justice League finished.
Yeah, I think we've learned from superhero universe movies, Marvel, the timeline generally goes in release order unless we're told explicitly. Like unless we're told, it's in the 80s, it's in the 90s. Then it's in release order, so it probably happened after.
So I imagine, so this whole geek culture thing, it doesn't make any sense. The whole Freddy, everyone should be aware of Superman, Batman.
As we're picking holes in it now already, because let's just say, did you enjoy the movie?
It's actually a good movie,
Yeah, I love the movie. Yeah, I love it.
It's actually a fun movie.
Yeah,
I know we
really like the movie, and we think it's actually made really well. I think, wow, DC made a good superhero movie. Nice one.
Finally. Not really finally. The Wonder Woman was good.
Now we can pick it apart. Carry on.
So
we love the movie.
It's a really good, fun film, but it's weird because there's all of that, and then Billy Batson obviously does all these powers and stuff because he's a kid, I guess. He's distracted, and then when he's showboating and he actually causes the bus accident, or he kind of doesn't know how to fight Mark Strong's character. But at the end, when they all become Captain Marvel family and they're all grown up, and then he's trying to egg out Envy, all of a sudden he knows all these powers and he seems more grown up. And he's not the same adolescence that he was a couple of days ago, maybe. It seems like he changed very quickly. But
they're ready to avenge all of the sins.
All of a sudden, all these little kids are able to fight kind of CGI monsters.
They're assembled.
Yes.
As a family.
He made his own Justice League.
Yes. be fair, it's better than the real Justice League. So.
Oh, well, to be So this film, I guess, had no, DC input because they've ruined like Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman. Man of Steel was fine. It was kind of boring as well.
I mean, they're all supposed to be kind of serious, aren't they? So.
Yeah, and Justice League as well. So all of them have had like major kind of studio interference or rewrites or directors kind of leaving or whatever the issues are. Wonder Woman had kind of like just Patty Jenkins' vision. Here you go. Here's a basic, simple film, and it was good.
That was a good movie.
And then James Wan went away, did his Aquaman movie, which was just kind of long. It was long and average. It was fine. There's a lot happened. A lot happened. Man. It just kept going on. I just like James, man, just cut it down, innit? James Wan, just make it tighter, like you've done with your Conjuring films and your
make them tight.
You just put a horror element in there. Come on, and
if as a cinema goer, once you sat there for 3 hours, you can't tell people you didn't like it, or you just look like an idiot.
Exactly.
It's just like. Why did you sit there for 3 hours if you didn't like it? Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
But then, so this film as well, it seems smaller budget. They've gone, just do what you want, and he's got good caliber. Like he did the film Lights Out. He's did Annabelle Creation, the sequel to the Annabelle film again, which is really good. And then they just said, look, here's a small budget, and it shows because I don't think none of the set pieces were that spectacular. They're all fine. The main kind of finale is all in the fairground. It's very much self-contained. It's quite small.
I like it because that makes it always detailed. And
whereas
big movies, it's always just people throwing each other about in really big ways, which is boring to me. I just go to sleep through big movie action.
It is, but you could be a bit clever. Like Deadpool had a smaller budget, right? Really small budget, and it made that highway sequence really. They did such a good job with that, and then even the end sequence was quite good. And there isn't anything as good as the highway sequence in this film, and the budget's still quite big in Shazam, but it just. But Wonder Woman had that great trenches sequence as well. When she's coming out of the trenches, being shot out and everything, that looked amazing. This film doesn't have that iconic kind of set piece. Even Captain Marvel flew off into space and blew up all the ships. That was all great. Just this just felt like, I guess, like when in the 90s we were watching films about kids, and you'd had stuff like maybe Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, or like Goonies and Flight of the Navigator. So they're all quite smallish films where it kind of had that start end, but never had that scope that felt it was bigger. And I think this one is like that. It's like it's set in one tiny little city, small action sequences, small kind of battles.
And that kind of suited the atmosphere, I think, because the story was just about a family. And it was just about kids. And the kid didn't really have a time to grow up and have that epic good versus evil, saving the world. Even though he did actually have a battle that was essentially saving the world, he wasn't really built up as a character ready to do that. He was just sort of coming into his own, just like. So that was kind of suited that it was a smaller scale battle. I think it's just sort of the point of it was family getting together.
Yeah, it just seems like a throwback to kind of old school kind of films, like even Gremlins or all those films kind of empt that something bigger may happen, and it kind of ends, and they were kind of good for that time because you had that constraint. And this is kind of old movies, yes.
Talk of older movies, 80s movies, and bigger. This was just kind of a bit like Big.
It is big.
It becomes big.
Exactly. He even walks on the piano.
He walks on the piano. What a great reference! I noticed that.
It's like you just put Batman and Superman references all over. About what?
He's in a toy store and he steps onto one of those giant pianos on the floor pianos, just like in Big.
His face lights up.
And I'm thinking, are they going to do a proper homage to it? Is he going to play the piano? And then the bad guy just runs across and goes, ding, 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 ding. It's like, good cameo. Good cameo.
It's a good
to play chopsticks together. Maybe they could have had a music battle.
Oh, yes.
And imagine that. That would have hyped up the whole movie then.
Oh, that would have been so good. And also, I guess
set him up as a musician earlier on. He was into his music. Oh, brilliant.
And with Big, because he's working in that toy company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to do the Big reference, they actually put him in a toy store.
Yeah.
So
True. And so
they're just the same thing.
also to show Batman as well. They had to show Batman toys. So.
Oh yes, they did. Yeah, there's there's a lot of kind of like references to other things in their cinematic universe, which is good. So it kind of lays the ground for other things that have happened. It's just weird how no one else seems to acknowledge it as much as Freddy does. And Billy seems totally oblivious to it, which is weird until he sees Superman at the end.
I mean, I suppose you could still be a nerd to superheroes that actually looks into details, whereas most people don't. So in that sense, he would know a lot more details.
Yeah, the post credit scene, the end credit scene, that makes sense for Freddy to understand what the reference is more than Billy. Like talking to Fish, he might not know Aquaman's powers yet, but you know Batman's kind of MO and Superman's kind of, because they've had 3 films of fighting, one whole film of fighting each other, one film of fighting Steppenwolf. So that's got to be on the news somewhere. It's got to be everywhere. Have
we done a post credits video for this yet?
We just jumped ahead. We just talked about whatever about this film.
Yeah, because I didn't stay to see the credits. So can you tell me what happened?
Okay, so
the credits, please.
So the first set of the first post credit scene is when Mark Strong is now in prison. Obviously, he was beaten at the end of the film, and I think it's Mr.
In case
I think it's a caterpillar or centipede, depending on how many legs you think it has. Mr. I forget his name, but he's a Shazam villain, and they have a little chat in the cell to kind of talk exactly the same post credit scene that Aquaman had, where you had Black Manta talk to Randall Park's character, and they're gonna team up together for Aquaman 2, and this is exactly the same thing. 2 villains having a chat, and they're gonna team up for the next one. which is fine. I was just like, oh, okay, that's it. It's got, because we've just seen it literally in December. Aquaman had the same post-credit scene, and I've now seen it in another DC film, and I'm like, oh, come up with something different. But then the last post-credit scene was really good. So they're still testing out powers. So Shazam is trying out other things he can do, and and then they talk about talking to Fish, and then obviously they find out Shazam can't talk to Fish, and he goes, oh, who wants that power anyway? And Freddy points to his T-shirt because he's wearing an Aquaman T-shirt, obviously. Aquaman. So there's another reference which was quite cool, which is a bit like Justice League had that the race between Superman and Flash. That was quite good. And at the end of the other Justice League one is obviously Lex Luthor talking to Deathstroke. So again, 2 villains just having a chat. So it seems like DC have got 2 credits and they're always the same. One a fun one, which is a reference to a comic book or something that's happened, and then another one which is where 2 villains get together and have a chat about a potential sequel.
To be fair, they haven't got a lot of successful templates to follow, have they? So
no,
they're repeating what has worked so far for them, and that's not very much.
Yeah, because Man of Steel didn't have one. Batman v Superman didn't have one. Suicide Squad had one, and his Batman was talking to Viola Davis's character. To talk about the metahumans or whatever it was. And then Wonder Woman didn't have one. Justice League had 2. Aquaman had 2. And then this one has 2. So from all their films, it's if you have a post-credit scene, it will follow this structure. It seems these 2 will be talking to each other, and then have a fun one for the fans. Like Deadpool's one was really good. He was just like, I've got the power to time travel, so I'm just going to go back and forth through time. Brilliant, loved it. This is good.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah,
exactly. What else about this film? So to be fair, this is the funniest DC movie, I'd say, without a shadow of doubt. There's a lot of funny references. There's some of the jokes are really good. Some don't land as well because it is still. I guess if you're a kid, this film is great. And when we were younger, and we had kids films where the kids were the main protagonists, like Goonies. Always refer back to that.
That's a good point, actually.
As a
about
child,
kids
we'd love
liking
it,
this movie.
but will it age that well? That's the
I
other
noticed
question.
there were some problems for kids with one particular scene. Do you know what scene I'm talking about? Can you guess from your viewing? Did you notice any difference? Anything that was a bit problematic?
I won't say problematic, but there is a quite
scene.
Boardroom scene. Oh, yeah. So Mark Strong's character, yeah.
He unleashes the sins to basically rip apart an entire boardroom of adults.
Yes.
And it's kind of horrific.
And his
I
dad.
would call it I wouldn't really call it 12A material.
But it's got dark undertones. Now that you mention that, you're right. So the start of the film is Mark Strong's character, young Mark Strong, sat in the back seat of the car with his abusive dad and his brother, who just are absolutely really not nice to him and stuff. And then he turns up to the lair, should we call it, and he gets offered the chance of having, if he's true of heart, a chance of kind of being the new champion. He goes for the eye, I can't remember what it's called, the sin thing, and then he gets zapped back to reality, and then he spends the rest of the film trying to get back there because he now wants that, because his childhood's just been kind of very bleak, and that's all he knows is just kind of like that one kind of thing, bad, horrible stuff. So when he gets power, it's exactly that. He goes straight to see his dad, his brother, who's kind of just giving him all of this abuse over time, over his lifetime. Yeah. It's Lex Luthor's dad in Smallville, his dad, and he just kills them all. And literally, you're right, it is really dark.
It's a horrific scene.
Then we've got Billy Batson, and now this may go over kids' heads, but it's quite it's a really difficult to kind of watch scene for some people, because he finally finds his mom, and they have a chat. She says, "I gave you up," and it's really kind of sad. Like for the first time, I felt for Billy. I was like, "Oh man, that's awful," because you understand his backstory.
I was seeing it coming. I did see that coming, but she was proper cold about it. She was just like, "No, you can't come in."
Yeah, no remorse, nothing.
Whisper quietly. Yeah. Oh, who is it? Who is it? No one. Yeah, nice.
There's a proper that's proper dark there. That went really dark. Like, obviously, that I guess that's to kind of just play with the film, to kind of show this other side of him, and then obviously needing the family. That's what he always wanted, his mum, and actually realizing his foster home is the family, and these are the people that. Yeah, and maybe that's
to call it home, didn't it? Really.
Yeah, exactly. So, for a kids film, it is a little bit strange that.
A little bit. Honestly, when that scene happened, and then it goes quiet for a moment during that scene, and I honestly heard a kid say, "Can we go watch another movie now?" in the middle of the movie.
Yes, that's true.
And his mum was like, "No, we're watching this." Yeah, nice.
Well,
just walk out of the movie.
It's like Wes Craven directing a kids family fun film, right? This director's caliber is horror films, right? He's come off 2 big horror films, and he's gone into making what is the most family friendly DC movie ever, most bright, colorful, fun movie, and he has to have that element in there. I think that's all that's in his DNA. He has to make that dark scene.
I liked it. I was really happy to see that scene, but I'm an adult. But because I know if they wanted to make it suitable for children, they would have just made it, like, cut it a bit. Like, the same scene could have happened. They would have just a few jump cuts here and there, and it would have felt really light, and I would have been like, oh yeah, that's what they always do. But I was quite pleased to see that, how harsh it was, and banging on the windows. I think horrific.
Even the end, when they were in the fairground and he's unleashed the sins, they're like these black CGI dark kind of monstery kind of things. But
and they choose the fairground as well.
Yeah, so they've kind of
horror.
Yes, kind of. I was going to say the opposite. They kind of balanced out the dark with the light, the fun of the fairground. But during that whole scene,
I was scared of going to the fair now.
I never felt like there was any peril. Like, like normally you watch a film and you think, oh, they're going to break this, the Ferris wheel's falling down, but
Yeah,
it never felt
get
that way.
Ferris wheel right there.
No, I just think, it wasn't breaking. It wasn't like there's cable cars, whatever, that in the Ferris wheel were cracking, about to fall. Anyone had to be rescued.
Yeah,
It just felt very kind of tamed. Like there are films where you can push it a little bit and make it actually seem like there is danger happening around them.
They were kind of too overpowered, super, weren't they?
Yeah, at that point they are.
But before that, I kept on thinking, will they go a step further? Obviously they didn't, but I still had that little bit of wondering what they might do, because it was a 12A. They could have put a bit more threat there. But you're right, they never really put any threat. You could have gone for the family more, but obviously they always get away and stuff like that. But they did have hold of each member of the family at one point by the synth,
when you went back
threatening
into the house, in
the house and in the fairground where they sends them out as well. Is that right? Yeah.
But that's when they turned into Captain Marvel's family. So.
But then they soon become the Marvel family. I mean, sorry.
But it's great seeing Iron Man and Captain America.
I actually said that by accident now. You've changed my brain. The Marvel family. I mean DC family.
They are the Marvel family. It's Captain Marvel. It's his family. It's the Marvel family. But yeah, overall, it was a good film. I think if you can kind of see past all the kind of kid elements to it, especially when he gets his powers and he acts like a child would, and he's not worried or he's not concerned about like Freddy. He's not concerned about really helping anybody. He just wants to make YouTube videos, make some money on the side. As I guess as a kid would. If you can see past all of that.
Yeah. I mean, the logical point is where he's like, why am I still going to school? I don't have to.
Exactly.
Like
I'm a superhero now.
Yeah. So he stops.
There's not so throughout the film I don't think there was one action sequence that I thoroughly enjoyed, which was kind of like Wonder Woman had that kind of action sequence. But there's one cool bit which is in the trailer which I love, is when Billy Batson's running on top of the building. I don't know how he climbed all the way to the top and got to a rooftop, and then as he's running he jumps in the air and he says Shazam, and he just morphs into Shazam and just flies off. I thought that was really cool.
That's a great moment. That sort of shows that's the moment where it shows he's changed his mind, his brain.
Yeah.
And he's got his focus now, and he's going to use his powers. He knows how to do it, and he just goes and does it.
And with these films, what they do is they always they have the fight in the dark to kind of show the threat, I guess. Look, it's such a horror element. Yeah, exactly. Hide all the stuff because it's a small movie. Let's
do the whole movie in the dark, just sound effects.
Yeah.
Save a ton.
Just do it in daylight, Shazam keeps just kick, just have a fight in day. The subway bit was quite good. He gets on the subway after being chased by the guys, and he becomes the champion. Anything else you want to say about the film, other than the stuff that you hate about it? You want to say something positive?
I don't know if I have anything positive about it. I loved it. I loved the movie. What a load of shit. No, I'm joking.
After kicking it for about 10 minutes, I loved it. It was really good.
I thought, let's just say again, it's a brilliant movie. I mean, I just want to say again that it was DC doing a good movie, but obviously it's because it was a smaller budget. They didn't have as much pressure. It was comedy aimed at a bit younger audience. So yeah, I like the movie. It's good.
It's good. It's good for them as well, as in for the DC to show kind of like we can have adult oriented films, we can have kind of mid films, and then we could have kind of this, which is very family oriented, where you can bring everyone around and you can watch it, skip the boardroom scene.
No, get another one of them. I want that to be a staple. I want to see people crying out of the theatre, just to know that it's a family film with an edge.
And then turn the lights off. So it's darker. This is even more darker.
I saw it in 4DX as well, so there's like smoke coming out of the sides and stuff.
Oh yeah, because it all goes smoky and foggy in there.
Smoke demons, and then there's real smoke. Perfect for kids. Oh.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
do you want to give it a score?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it, but my problems with the film were just kind of like the whole thing with Freddy. Didn't understand that. The budget, the action is fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was fun. And yeah, it's still it's worthwhile watch. You can watch it on DVD. It's not one you'd have to watch in the cinema. That's what I'm getting. I like when you watch these tentpole films like the other DC films, even though they're rubbish, you'd want to watch the big action sequences kind of pan out in the bigger screen. I think especially the Wonder Woman bit, where she comes out the trenches and stuff. That's really good. That's really epic. Even the rubbish Man of Steel when he's smashing through all the buildings, killing innocent people. Even that's all good. But yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. I say 7 out of 10.
Okay. Well, I didn't have a problem with the action. I thought it was perfect for what the film was.
And the film was a little bit long as well. Needed a bit of a tight edit because it's just over 2 and a bit hours.
Yeah, they kind of done a lot more preparation for a kind of minor skirmish at the end. So yeah, I was happy with that as well. Yeah,
the end drags a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I was fine with the end. I think all the holes in the plot of like the world is like I didn't really think about it when I was watching. My belief was suspended easily. And as it's a kids movie, I'm going to give it 5 underpants out of 5.
Perfect score. That's the cleanest score you've ever given.
Yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good movie. Good stuff.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Tell us what you think. Hit us up with your likes and comments and subscribe for more things on My Guy Reviews.
Peace.